Okay. Well, thanks for coming out to this pre-draft press conference. It's great to see everybody in person. Seems like it's been years, but and it kind of has, I guess. But before we get going, some thank yous in this draft process that I want to talk about, and some people that are extremely important to this organization that are very much behind the scenes with our draft preparation and process. It started at the end of May last year, and I have some notes so I don't forget people, and I have clear thoughts. Okay, so Trent Kirshner, I want to thank Trent, Matt Berry, Kirk Parrish, Aaron Heinlein, Nolan Teasley, Willie Schneider, DJ Horde, Jason Barnes, Alonzo Highsmith, Josh Graff, Todd Bruner, Ryan Florence, Patrick Ward, and Brian Ayers. Really especially want to thank Kirk and Armani and Ryan Simmons. We bring these guys in and zip them around to doctors, and they're cruising around picking these guys up at the airport, and Kirk's basically planning all these meetings we have, and working with the coaching staff and the scouts to get everything set up. It's a huge process. So just really want to thank those guys. This draft is an entertainment deal, right? Everybody gets it, and it's these guys' livelihood. I wish you could spend a fall with these guys, going out and being away from their families. Staying at Marriott Courtyards at night, typing reports. But the passion that these guys have, the passion that they display every day throughout the fall for our team, where we're headed in the future it's really awesome to see. And Coach Pete comes and sits with us all the time in there in our different sets of meetings. We're going to be finishing up today. Excuse me, we're finishing up today, and the coaches will join us on Friday and Saturday to kind of tweak some things, and then Pete and I will work through some things as we as we get there. But I wish you could just understand and feel that passion. It's a pretty cool thing. I also want to thank our doctors, our entire medical staff, the physicals, all the questions that we hammered them on. And we had our last meeting last night, our last medical meeting, and we lost a couple players, but we gained a couple players. So that's pretty cool. It's always cool meetings. These guys are really good people, very intelligent, great communicators, and also the video guys. The process that they go through, all the cut-ups that Pete and myself and the coaching staff and the scouts ask them for. These guys are building libraries for us all the time. Rob Porteous and his staff. James Churchill spends a ton of time working on this stuff for us all throughout the fall. John Mallory, Taylor Bailey, and Jordan Schleiser. I mean, awesome. And like I said, Dr. Cal Fain, sitting in traffic, coming all the way over here, all the doctors going down to the combine. It's a big deal for us spending the week down there and working with our presentation. I also want to thank the coaching staff. They've been unbelievable. Our communication, collaboration's been, in my opinion, off the charts since, Pete and I got here in 2010. It's very refreshing. For some reason, I can't really put a finger on it, but it's just been, the communication's been off the charts. We're gonna get together this weekend, but all the way through free agency. We have a new defensive coaching staff too, a couple of new offensive coaches, but it's just been awesome. We're gonna have a great weekend in here, and the collaboration, like I said, the collaboration's been awesome. And we talk about competition, collaboration, and culture all the time, and I think when you I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but there's a certain energy in this building right now. There's a certain refreshness and juice, and I don't know if it's Chuck Arnold's staff coming in back in the building. The business people upstairs on the third floor. There's like 50-some new faces, smiling faces in the cafeteria that we don't even know a lot of their names yet. Because we've been embedded in what we're doing, but. There's a really cool energy there. Like I said, the scouts coming in, being in the draft room again, being able to spend that time together, studying, preparing for the draft, trying to figure things out. Excuse me, the juice and the energy of the coaching staff. I can't tell you. It's just very hard to describe. I wish you'd be able to sit here in here in a team meeting and feel it or feel it up in the hallways upstairs. It's just I don't know. There's a really cool juice going on, and I guess, to see all the players coming in, right? The players coming back on Tuesday and seeing the, coaches and the players getting together and the scouts that haven't seen the guys that they scouted in their area and hugging those guys up and, hugging, Stu in the cafeteria upstairs and Strick and everybody involved. And, when you think of everything we go through, Pete and myself and the staff and, after a season, the season feels like it was, I don't know how you feel, but it feels like it's like 2-3 years ago to me. We've moved on, we've been moved on and preparing for where we're going and implementing our plan and working our tails off. And, when you see that interaction with the players and, the support staff, you feel that, when we have to make these tough decisions and move on from players, you understand why it's a tough decision. It's tough for everybody involved, right? Because this is a great place. I mean, not only do we have great ownership, our fans are off the charts, loudest stadium in the National Football League, facilities, we have everything we need. And, you can look upstairs, you could talk about, the people in, corporate sponsorships and ticketing and, marketing and, our community outreach people and how we, work with the military. And it's just great to have everybody back in here. And, and you feel that from the players. And I would say, you talk about like our support staff and like what is the core of this building and our culture. There's definitely pillars here. And I'm going to go through some names because these people are very important, and you can see all these players and even our staff members reach out to these people. And I'm going to Mo Kelly and Dave Pearson and Eric Kennedy, Chad Sensenbaugh, George Engelbright and security and Sam Ramsden, David Strickland, Matt Capurro, Jeremy Young, Rob Porteous, like I said, Stu McNabb. If our cafeteria wasn't here, like, I don't know what we would do in this building, right? Like, our food is off the charts there. Andrea Vanderwood, our nutritionist. So just you can really feel it. And, again, it's exciting times. We currently have 8 picks. We have 4 in the top 72. So, there's a real excitement about that and an enthusiasm. And, I was I don't want to sound like I work out all the time, but I was getting a workout in yesterday morning watching TV. And, they were talking about, the NFC West and all the problems that everybody has and everything. And I don't know, it just brought me back to this energy of, like, the 2012 draft when, we overdrafted a pass rusher and we drafted a linebacker that didn't have any instincts. And, we drafted a quarterback that didn't, fit the height mold, and we overdrafted a nickelback, and we overdrafted a third down back, and, we converted a defensive lineman to an offensive lineman who is still playing for those who are keeping track, or he was last year. But, it just, then afterwards, right, everybody giving us Fs, but the message is that in this building, we were super excited. We knew where we were headed, Pete, and his staff had a great plan. It was loaded with competition, and we're excited to see that competition. We're thankful for the guys that re-signed with us, Rashad Penny, Kyle Fuller, Will Disley, Sidney Jones, Al Woods, and two-time Pro Bowler Quandre Diggs. I'm not sure why he doesn't get enough credit for being, back-to-back Pro Bowler, but that's cool. But our new guys that are joining us through unrestricted free agency, Chenna, Artie, Quentin kind of, he came back to us, but Austin Blythe, Justin Coleman, and then Joel from the Bears. I have a hard time. Iggy. Okay, I have a hard time with pronouncing his last name, but it is E.A. Boutiway. You got to slow down with it, right? The guys we added in the trade, okay, Drew Lock and Noah Fant and Shelby Harris. Excited for those guys. Excited for the new opportunities for guys that you all haven't really seen or the fans haven't really seen yet. They haven't been able to, for one reason or another, get in there, like Cody Barton and Trey Brown, injured last year. Marquise Blair, rough deal with injuries for him. We're excited for him. D. Eskridge, Kobe Parkinson, Stone Forsythe, guys that y'all haven't really seen yet. We're excited for them. We're excited for the competition to be underway. Like I said, to keep implementing our plan and to keep pushing forward with every avenue of acquisition, trying to do whatever we can to help out our staff, our coaching staff. And, you see these guys working, the coaching staff with the teachers, all the teaching going on. And we're excited to see that into the spring as we add this new draft class, and then, competing with waiver claims and trades, January 1st guys that could, cap casualty players. You guys have seen us acquire people in the middle of July. We'll be competing every day, and, we're excited to get everybody together, watch the coaches teach and develop, and the man next to me, so we've been together now, this is our 13th draft, and, I have a ton of love and respect for the man next to me, and I would say that adding all that together, I've never been around a person that instills confidence in any individual, not just football players, than Pete Carroll. So, okay, that's what I wanted to get off my chest. So you want to go ahead? Yeah. See, he usually does that.
Nicely done. If anybody wants those names, I noticed that Greg was taking copious notes, and he's got them all written down right in front of us right there. Yeah, there is, just to amplify one thought here, is that the players coming back is like the third floor personnel coming back. It really has energized the building, and it's been really fun to get going. And there's a real good excitement about it. So we're pumped up, and I think it's all the draft and the new players and the is all added to that. So we're fired up about it. So what's up?
John, you mentioned 2012. This is the first time you'll have a top half of the first round pick since then. Just how
yeah, we don't know what to do with our hands, right? No, it's that's a really good thing, right? What's that like?
Just how different is Thursday going to be for you, given you're not waiting around for 3 hours to decide what you're going to do? And
yeah, it's going to be different. We haven't experienced since the first year we were here. We had the 2 first-round draft picks, and so there's a lot of planning, a lot of thoughts that go through your head, a lot of different scenarios. We may pick at 9, we may not. We don't know yet. We're going to do whatever we can to help this football team as much as we possibly can, and it's obviously exciting, but it's not necessarily a place that you want to be drafting.
With the 2 picks back in the second round, what does that do flexibility-wise, whether it's you just pick 2 good players there, or gives you flexibility to trade up, trade back, add picks, just all the different options?
Yeah, that was a big part of the trade, being able to have that flexibility with a second draft pick, especially in this year's draft, the way things look to us. But it does give you flexibility in picking back to back or being able to move around if we deem necessary.
When teams are trying to trade up, or you're trying to trade back in the first round, have you found that it's been easier or harder to find a partner when they're not after a quarterback? I mean, when the team trying to come up isn't trying to search for a quarterback?
I haven't experienced it up here at picking. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You usually experience it, towards the back of the round, like in the back of the round where people are pretty, they have a level of urgency about them. You can kind of tell when you're speaking to people, and and you kind of have on your board where you think certain quarterbacks are going to go. So yeah, there is a level of urgency that teams can have, but when you're picking in the top 10, we're not used to that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll get through our meetings, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll be on the horn with everybody trying to figure out where we're going to go and or if we're going to stay and pick.
What do you remember about having a top 10 pick 12 years ago with the experience of having that spot?
Well, yeah, it's pretty new. That was a long time ago. But there is definitely an excitement about this because there's only so many things that can happen. When you're picking 25th and 8th and 28th and down, there's a million scenarios. This is not like that. It's a little different. So there's a different level of excitement about the opportunity. And then as John said, we'll be interested to see how other people see it, and are they willing to come chasing that spot too. So. It's just everything about it is just more challenging, more exciting, and we're looking forward to it.
You talked for a while about To get Gino back, to get that done, just knowing that he's here.
Yeah, it's real important for this stability moving forward. You know, he's been here a number of years. He's got great background with us, and you know, so he brings that real sense of you know what we're all about, and he's helping the younger quarterbacks, you know, as they're transitioning to learning our stuff. He's a great illustration for them what it takes, and also it feels good. He's really excited about the opportunity, and it's going to be a real competition.
Does getting Gino back change your thoughts on needing to add another quarterback going forward in the draft or however? Or?
No.
How do you assess this quarterback? I mean, it seems like there's a lot of the draft class, the guys who are going to be available, just kind of in general, what's out there.
How would I assess it? I would say there's a quietness about it that, you know, can make people feel either, you know, anxious or extremely calm. There's not a lot of, doesn't seem to be a lot of buzz right now. So that's happened in the past too, where all of a sudden, I think it was the year that, Jake Locker and Ponder and that whole group of guys went. It was pretty quiet, and then they all went really high.
Is your phone ringing more because you're at 9?
No, not it, no. It usually pretty much stays the same. Because people know that we're very open to moving around. We're pliable. So yeah,
John,
it stays the same.
Sorry. How did the COVID year and the extra eligibility guys had maybe change the depth of this draft? And is there more available maybe in the middle rounds than there is in pre?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. We knew last year, you know, that it was going to be things. It was going to be really. You weren't going to have all the answers to the test, right? With no combine, limited access to the players. It was, you know, one of the primary reasons we, you know, besides Jamal being a phenomenal football player, is one of the primary reasons we decided to make that trade. This trade, or this class, I would say, with all the seniors coming back, I think you see maybe less impactfulness and more quality throughout the entire draft.
John, is there any one group, or Pete, that moved up since the combine or reaffirmed what you thought going into the combine to now?
Probably don't want to.
Yeah, not that I'm sorry, not that I want to share it with you. Yeah, sorry. It's a great question. I'd ask it too. Heck.
A lot of these quarterbacks in this class, or every class, really, they play any spread stuff, not really pro style. When you got to meet with some of the guys in this class and got them on the board, you know, how were they with the mental stuff?
Okay.
Yeah, guys have been really impressive. The class of guys, they're raised well, and regardless of, you know, the style of the offense, these guys are prepared for this time, and they've held their own. John's guys and our coaches have had numerous meetings with guys and just trying to dig in and figure out, you know, where they are their limitations in their background, and these guys have been really impressive. So I don't think the style of offense is a big factor. The guys they're repped out and they know what they need to know, and they're ready to, you know, for the next challenge and all of that. It's pretty obvious.
So there hasn't been like a notable difference in maybe readiness or processing between the guys who did play in a pro style versus guys who played in the spread?
No, we do appreciate the fact that when guys have been under center, you know, and some guys that have never been under center, you know, that's a little bit of a setback, but it really transitions really quickly for the most part, and that's really not a big factor.
For offensive linemen, is it still the same that there's still a big gulf, a big learning curve because of the 2-point stances and the...
Depending on which programs they come from,
Yeah.
you know, if they come from the heavy running programs, it's not as big a deal. But there's some teams that throw the ball all over the yard, and they're, you know, it's all gun runs, and there's a difference to their style. Yeah, there's some transitioning there to maybe more so than the QBs even, you know, because you don't physically see them in a stance and roaring off the football. You know, taking a snap from center they can get done, but getting in a 3-point stance is a different deal, and so it depends on the emphasis of the program they come from, really.
Have you found that it takes time to make an NFL lineman now more so than 10, 15 years ago?
I don't think that. I don't think that. that may be the case, with people not coming off the rock as much as in the past. But we're I don't know, we've kind of grown with it and kind of come along with them. So I don't feel like it's that big a deal.
John, you mentioned Stone Forsythe. There's only 3 tackles on the roster right now. How has his presence and Jake Curhan maybe influenced not signing a veteran at that position during free agency, or does that speak more to the draft class that's coming?
It's a great question. The chops look awesome, by the way. Nice work. I could never pull that off. But yeah, I think that those guys. Jake, was able to have more play time last year, so we have a better evaluation of him. Stone, started at left tackle in the SEC. Against, one of the first games we ever put on with him was against Georgia, which they might have feels like 220 players getting drafted this year or something, especially on defense. So, Stone's he's played big boy football, and he knows what it's all about. I mean, when you study these, especially, these offensive linemen, to Greg's question, I mean, you study all these different offensive linemen, these different systems. There's guys that are still running the football. There's teams that, play like slow spread and run the ball. There's teams that play up tempo. You have to know exactly what these guys are doing. Like there's a couple schools that, they have lighter offensive linemen because their tempo is so fast. They want to get as many series as they possibly can. And studying those and watching all those games. But and as we watch those games, and it seems like we've been in there for months. We turned off the music this morning because we've listened to every genre of music you could possibly listen to over the last 3 weeks. So we started with German lessons this morning in there. So while the film was running, so a little bit of a rambling question or answer. Sorry, I apologize.
Because you didn't want to answer.
Sir, wondering about are you guys wondering or worried about the future of the combine and guys skipping it and thinking I'm just going to show up and throw and not do anything else or anything like that?
It's always no, not yet. It's always the combine. You always have guys that are going to do one thing or the other, and they're going to do their own thing. I think the majority of guys are still extremely excited and and probably feel very blessed to be able to be invited to the combine.
How much do you still lean on guys in college that you worked with before, like a Kiffin or Gerard or something like that, when you're trying to get info on prospects?
My guys that are in there, I'm leaning on. Yeah, they're not all doing it, but we still use the connections that we have as much as anything. That kind of information exchange can be as valuable as anything we get. Because the people that you're dealing with and all. So we're using every asset that we have.
How has the transfer portal and maybe the movement in college changed some of that?
Wow, they're getting ready for free agency at an early age, man.
Yeah.
Getting paid. We don't really know the impact of that yet.
We'll feel it. We'll definitely feel it next year.
Next couple
adjusting,
years.
But we were. Funny story. If you want some inside stuff, we were watching some offensive linemen a couple weeks ago, and we're like, oh, this guy, one of the actually we were watching pass rushers, and there was an offensive lineman after offensive lineman after offensive lineman that they all kept getting beat by this guy. And we're like, man, he must have entered the transfer portal during the season. It's not the same guy because they had the same number, but it's definitely going to affect it. I mean, they're seeing it already, going to some of these pro days. The coaches are asking our area scouts how to handle it. How do they, because they have to be on top of it at every moment a guy can split. So it's going to be pretty crazy.
It's going to be interesting to see the impact of guys getting paid when they're 17, 18 years old, and just how that affects the way that they look at things. And we won't know that until there's a couple generations here, or at least a couple seasons of those guys coming through. It's certainly rattled the cages of the college world. The coaches they're into all kinds of stuff now. It's different than it's ever been, and there's really no way to see what the impact is going to be yet. But it's going to have an impact. There's no doubt. I mean, a kid that's getting recruited in his junior year to how much he's going to make when he's going to college, what's that kid going to be like? We've always had, kind of ways to looking at kids that are the high-profile guys early on, the five-star guys, and how that affects them. And it definitely has an effect on some of the players. This is going to have a definite effect on some of the players that I don't know that we can predict at this time, So it's going to be really interesting. I'll be fascinated to see how this works, and I can't wait to understand it better.
I know it's only been a couple days, but what Drew Lock being here and running some stuff, what has been an initial impression of him?
His first impression for me is that he's really excited about the new energy of our club, the energy that he can feel from the players and the coaches about his opportunity. He's upbeat and very comfortable with how everything's gone so far. So it's been really quick, but he's been open to say that and express that, and so. It's a new lease on life for him, and he's looking forward to taking full advantage of that. He's coming in with his competitive hat on and ready to roll. So it's going to be really exciting to see how he fits in.
Is your stance on whether to take the philosophy, whether to take the best player available or fill a particular position need, has that changed over the years, and is it different with a top 10 pick?
No, it hasn't changed. It's Larry. It's the way our grading scale is. We've added to it, since we've been here. We've adjusted some things and tweaked things along the way. But I say our grading scale, it's really like Al Davis, Dick Steinberg, and Ron Wolf kind of combined, and we've added a couple, things to it. So it's not like our grading scale. It is our grading scale, but it was developed way before we, and that includes drafting for your team, not necessarily for the league. So that's, again, why, sometimes you see, rankings or whatever, in the media, and we draft for our team. We don't draft for, how the league feels about people. That's where you get in trouble.
DK Metcalf is back in the building. Any chance to talk to, his future, obviously still discussing. Any chance to talk with him about that, and what does it mean, I guess, that he's back here with you guys?
Just kind of talking throughout the offseason and to now. I know he's really excited about being back. He's still rehabbing from surgery, but he's involved with everything we're doing. He's really tuned in, and I'm really, happy to see the way he's returned to us. With a lot of stuff in the future coming up and all of that. He seems to be very focused on what's going on right now and being, in position to help other guys, as we get started. So he's shown a really good mentality about the return. As far as conversations and all that kind of stuff about the future of it, it's been we haven't really been directly on the topic at this point.
How's Chris Carson coming along at this point? Do you have any better feeling for how he's progressing?
We really don't have any real updates at this time. It's still going to take some time, still working through it, and it's still a process. And he's really working hard. I know that, and it's really important to him to take it as far as he can. So we'll just have to wait and buy some time to figure that out.
He's such a young player still, but have you seen him kind of taking on a little more leadership with this team getting younger?
There's no question. There's no question he feels it. He senses the opportunity, and I think it's as he returns, in a situation where it's not ideal because he's not able to do all of the workouts and stuff right now. He's engaged in everything he can be. He's really giving himself to the process because I know he knows his teammates are looking to him, and he can sense the role that he's in and that's upcoming. So it's going to be a really great process to watch him emerge and become a bigger factor, and particularly for the younger guys that come in and all that, as leadership always is. But he's ready to assume that role more so, and he's going to do a really good job with it. We really need him.
What exactly happened to DK's foot?
He had from an old surgery, he had a little work done just to kind of clean the old surgery up. So it seemed to make a little transition over time, and so he got something fixed up in it.
Any update? Quandre and Jamal, coming off their surgeries, any update on where those guys are?
Those guys are doing great. They're really excited, enthused with what's happening. Really positive. It was great to see Quandre when he came out to sign his deal, and really everybody was really pumped about that. Both those guys are working and maintaining the rehab that they're in to try to maximize these few crucial weeks in here until they get back in here. Everybody's connected and zooming and doing all of our stuff, and so it's working out great.
John, you mentioned the meetings with coaches you guys will have coming up. On the defensive side of the ball, do those take on any extra meaning with a new staff, some new scheme things, just some changes on defense?
Pete had a great idea when the scouts came in right away, and that was to get together with the both staffs, right? But to your point with the new defensive staff, hey, this is what we're all about. This is what we're looking for. So we didn't delay that process. We obviously the people that are in the building, Trent and Matt Berry and Nolan and Willie and and DJ, Trent, everybody that's in our group that's here every day has been able to spend a ton of time with Clint and Sean and Carl and get a feel for them. But I think being able to get together at the beginning of our process, which we haven't done, thought it was a great idea, and it worked out great for us in terms of getting through the process.
It's a real positive to get just a new outlook, a new perspective. And for us in competitive mentality, we're trying to figure out new things and see things differently through their eyes and their experience. And so there's an energy about that John's embraced, with getting our guys together and stuff. And it's been part of all that, John was inspired to talk about, that there's a lot of energy about all of that. And we've got some really fascinating, interesting new guys from really good experiences and stuff that are helping us and then being, challenging us and stuff, which is great.
Those new faces and different ideologies, has that influenced at all the types of prototypes that you're looking for in terms of players for scheme fit and free agency and the draft?
Well,
is it pretty similar?
I don't think prototype-wise. I think, but their insights that they bring, just from another perspective and other great coaches that they've worked with and all, it's just cool to hear what they think about the same things, and describe things that we've been describing for years, and just mix that new information to kind of, keep tooling us up and keep us going and keep us on our toes. It's been good.
On that same note, 32-inch arm thing, cornerbacks there for a little bit. Then last year you started Trey, you started DJ. Has come up off that now, and just it doesn't matter how long guys.
Where'd you get that 32-inch thing? We don't have that written down there.
I think we put that out there. Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the old days. Okay, yeah.
The numbers are diminishing, my friend. So
No, it's
you take what you can get.
Yeah, that's not something really, Michael, that's changed in the thought that, that attribute is one that does help a guy's play, but not everybody has it. So you got to, take a look at the guys and see what they got. And I think I've become more flexible with the thought, and just recognizing the talents that come in a different package sometimes. And I thought Trey was a great example of that. And I'm really excited about his future. But when we see it like we liked it, we still love it now.
Yeah.
So.
Is the direction you guys maybe want to do more of defensively next year with the 3-4 or whatever, does that change what you're looking for in defensive players in this draft at all? Or?
There's some subtleties to that.
Sure.
Yeah, there's some subtleties to that, it's still a hybrid 3-4 that is very similar to the stuff that we've done for over years. But Clint has some background, and Sean has a background, and also with Carl that. We're working to expand. We're always trying to get better, and so as we go through this, you'll watch and see how we do it. But I think you'll see us being affected by the new outlook some.
Inevitably, fans, everybody looks at the trade you made in March. They're always going to judge it based on how the guys came into and how these picks work out. Obviously, you're just trying to make the best picks for this franchise. But does that
Did
ever?
you say trade for Marshawn?
No, the trade
Oh,
in
March.
Yeah, the trade you made in
Wow,
March.
you're going back, brother.
Yeah, ways back, yeah. Everybody kind of grades it based on how the guys who come here do and obviously how these draft picks pan out. Did that ever cross your mind in this process and in kind of looking forward years down the road and that sort of thing?
Yeah, the excitement of it, right? Like the freshness of it. The like I said, the coaches getting their hands on new players and accentuating their strengths and it's just, I would say there's an excitement to it.
Yeah, I would say about that. Excuse me. The fact that as outsiders would look at, you look at the numbers as they have been and as they may have been in the past. We don't look at it that way. We look at kind of where they were, but we're looking at where they can go under our guidance, and how we can, enhance and bring out the best in guys. And so that's an exciting part of this thing, So we project forward, not and we'll base our evaluations down the road. You said that, but it's easy to look at kind of where everybody's from. Okay, you're getting exactly this and you're getting exactly that. I don't know that that's really the case. That we're going to put our own little touch on these guys and see if we can draw out some stuff and some part of their play that maybe we haven't seen. That we're looking forward to.
I think that's the excitement of it is knowing that knowing how Pete affects people, and then how he affects his staff, and then how his staff's going to affect the players. That's a pretty cool thing to see when you have established players that you can study on film and just watch what they've been through, how they performed, and then try to project how they're going to.
Yeah, let me give you a shot on that one. The thing that when we look at our guys, whether they're the free agents or part of a trade or part of the draft, we're looking for where we think we can take them, and so it might not be exactly the same as they're viewed by others. As John was talking about, we're drafted for our own team, and that includes the way we look at a particular player. And really the basic thought that I've shared with you guys before is we're looking to see something special in these guys, and then we want that to come to the front. We're not trying to, just stick them in a particular box of style. We want to see if we can come up with something and really enhance what they bring. So it's a big part of it. It's an exciting part of it.
For both of you, how exciting is the call? Making that call. I mean, you're changing lives and families, and we've heard some great, moments over the years. How exciting is that for both of you guys?
You talking on draft day and
it's amazing, especially for somebody like myself that never ever even close to step the National Football League, to call somebody and tell them that they have the opportunity of a lifetime is pretty amazing. And then to hand the phone over to Pete Carroll, or they're at their house probably being like, thinking like, I'm going to talk to Coach Carroll. This is awesome, But yeah, I think it's really exciting. It goes really fast though.
It's such a blur, but it's like the moment of winning the game. Really, it's that moment that you just accomplished something really special. And we know on the other end of that phone call is what, as soon as we hang up, they're going crazy and all that. So it's a really, really wonderful moment.
John, you've drawn some parallels to the 2012 draft, and that was a really pivotal point for you guys, a turning point. Do you think this can be a turning point for the franchise?
Yeah, I'm talking about the energy and the way we feel in this building. Like where we are, in our bubble, right? We feel awesome about it. We have an excitement about it, and there's kind of a little bit of underdog feeling. It's refreshing and it feels fun. It feels competitive as crud. So, yeah, it's and we've concentrated on people again.
Yeah, it's great that we haven't had the opportunity to draft real high. That's a good thing. And it's subtle and all that. But so when you get that opportunity, it's a new deal. So it does take us back in that regard.
Do you feel like you guys have to reassure the fan base after the last few months?
Heck, we got to go out and win. Heck, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know about reassuring.
We're not used to losing.
No more than we got to reassure, Pete. We got to get Pete reassured too, and the coaches and everybody wants to come back and do something good here. So, I'm going to make that a blip on the screen.
I think as I was preparing for this press conference last night, talking with my wife about some things. I was talking to Tracy, and I wanted to emphasize, in 2010 when we had like our first press conference or whatever, I wanted to let people know that, hey, growing up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, all I cared about, was what were the Packers doing every single day to get better, right? And so that's the message. I haven't said that in years, but the fans need to know that. I mean, whether it's the coaches or the guys in sports science, the people in our trainers taking care of people, the strength conditioning guys, our equipment guys, everybody, we're doing whatever we can every single day to have a consistent championship caliber football team, and fans need to take there has to be a reassurance of that, right? And what we can say is that it really doesn't stop. It's a 24/7 process.
You mentioned the unique phone call when you drafted KJ Wright, because I think he was in his college graduation ceremony.
Yeah.
What other calls stand out in your mind as the ones that you remember the most?
I don't know which ones. I like the one when we called
Joey?
We called Bruce.
Bruce was awesome.
Yeah, Bruce was a cool one for me personally, because I had a lot of background with him, and he'd been through a lot of hard stuff, and a lot of big time life challenges, and to let him know that he was the #1 pick, that was important to me, because I missed him as a Trojan. We tried to get him down, couldn't get it done, and so for me it was we won that one because we finally got him. But that was one I'll always be grateful for. That was cool.
I would say Russell's call.
Yeah.
That was a huge one.
John, as you guys have scouts that go work for other teams?
Russell Okung, sorry. I apologize to Russ. Jeez. I mean, I was so nervous. It was the first person I ever called. I'm like, sorry. Wait, you're drafting me? You know? Sorry.
As you guys, scouts go, then move on to work for other teams,
Yeah.
personnel guys, coaches, how do you maintain an edge over the years when everyone's kind of pulling from a similar playbook because they used to work for you guys?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. You're learning from your successes, learning from your mistakes, and then trying to keep your ship as tight as you possibly can. And we talk about that when anybody comes into our draft room. It's kind of like when people say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? You like shut that door, and once you walk out the door, like we have to have there's a trust level there. There's a lot of people that have exposure to our board. So we have to have that trust in each other, and that's the only way we're going to maintain that edge.
You still interested in bringing back Dwayne Brown, or have you moved on from that?
No, we haven't. We've not moved on from that. We're still talking.
John, go on.
There's a lot of Greg. There's a ton of veterans still. There's a lot of very high quality guys that are just out there right now that haven't been able to find a specific market that they're looking for.
That seems to be a little more than usual.
Last 2 years.
Is there a reason you can peg for that?
I think guys have confidence in their abilities, and they're waiting for the right team at the right time, and guys that have made are really good with their money and have made good money are waiting until training camp to see if anything happens with another club, and if another club's gonna unfortunately it happened to KJ last year. He signed August 1st, I think.
Going back to the continual improvement statement, was that a missing, or was it just more of an emphasis that you just feel it now because of the energy, assuring the fans that the organization?
No, ever since we walked through the doors, we've always.
Yeah, we've been competing the whole time, and we try to help message to you guys that we're always looking for every one of these opportunities as they come. We're always trying to be as ready as we can, and we want to be on every deal that's out there and never misunderstand. John's his calls when he can to stay abreast of every opportunity that's out there. That's not changed. I think it's just and. Maybe we're excited to show you again, that for us, I'm going to prove it to you that we're ready again, and we're going to go for it, and there's nothing that's going to keep us from battling every step of the way to get as good as we can, so that's not changed, but we all have to reemphasize the stuff that's important to us, and so that we can really do it well. That's really what we're talking about.
But the energy, post COVID is natural, I think, for any organization, any business, right? You're finally things finally feeling, back to normal, right? So you're okay. So we can, go to PR and hang out with Dave and
it's
make fun of each other if we want,
it's
right?
Interesting to see. We're all kind of learning as things have been affected by the change that we went through. It's affected us in a lot of ways, and just the employment setting in the country. Like people are going to work and some people aren't. Some people are going halftime. Things have changed. So when you somebody asked the question, I thought I had, are guys looking at the combine differently? Well, maybe they will. Maybe there was a more guys. I don't know if there was, Johnny, the guys that said I'm going to wait and not work out there. It might have felt like there was a few more guys that did that this time around. I'll give you an idea. We had a local workout here, and there was a number of guys that raised their hand and said they weren't going to run. And that it kind of stopped the meeting for me. They're like, you're going to miss this opportunity with the Seattle Seahawks to show who you are and what you're all about. Some guys did.
They all ended up running pretty much after Pete said that, right?
But I was surprised. Maybe there's a wave of new thinking, and that's going to show itself in different ways as we go forward. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see.
How are the German lessons going?
It got hard really quick. Yeah. So we ended up turning it off and we basically turn the music on when, after we get through discussions and, we're just watching game after game that feels like we've seen.
Wieder sehen I got lost real early. Sorry.
Well, there was a really long one in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Schlaf gut was easy, and then,
Is that so you could talk to Aaron Donker? Or for some reason you picked German? Or?
Just trying to get a little bit better, with our teammates. Trying to learn them.
Anything else?
Yeah, we better get out of here.
All right. Thank you, guys.
See you.